So far this postseason, the Indiana Pacers have dominated in close games, including 3 different amazing comebacks, one in each round. Now from first glance, it just looks like the Pacers have a knack for the big moment, with the help from some voodoo magic at times. But if we dig a little deeper, there's a few reasons why this team has been so good in close games. The Pacers play one of the fastest paced offenses in the league, and it requires a ton of intelligence to know where to be in the midst of all this chaos. Most teams play a very heliocentric style, where they put the ball in their best players' hands and have them go make a play. But Indiana is all about pushing the pace, using deception with their movements to create space, and then figuring out where they need to be. What I like most about Indiana is that they can figure out counters on the fly. Okoro grabs Halliburton because he doesn't want him to get the ball, so instead of fighting him off, he goes to screen Strus to give Nembhard a lane, and he creates an and one. Instead of just standing around, they look for ways to disrupt defenses. This just looks like a basic pick and roll, but Nesmith improvises by coming up to run a fake dribble handoff, and that's enough to get himself to the rim. The other really dangerous part of the Pacers is their ability to play off of made baskets. Brunson makes an incredible hustle play that turns into a hard layup, but with multiple Knicks on their side, Hallie chucks it across the court, which creates a numbers advantage, and the Pacers get an easy layup. A few minutes later, Brunson draws the defense in, and Bridges knocks down the 3. Wasting no time, McConnell gets up the floor, Toppin clears out, so McConnell has all that space to drive for a score. In order to play this style, the Pacers typically play at least 9 guys on the floor every night. This has especially been advantageous against the Knicks, who primarily play only 7 guys. And as the game went on, the Knicks defense started to collapse. On this one, McConnell tells his teammates to space to the other side so they can run this pick and roll. With Robinson still hanging around, Sheppard cuts down, and the drive brings multiple Knicks over, so Sheppard moves to open space and has an open 3. Then on the next possession, they run that same pick and roll. With Payne watching, Sheppard moves, which causes confusion, and this time it's Siakam that's open. Now you might have noticed that the Pacers aren't really running any plays. It's all intuitive movement and terrific improvising that creates these open looks. This is a result of understanding how to create small advantages in the moment that then leads to consistent offense. And I think this translates a lot, especially in close games, where you need to execute on very minute details to win games. One of the most notable examples was in Game 2 against the Cavs. Despite the brilliance from Donovan Mitchell, the Pacers' game plan was to continue to make him score off the dribble. And while the Cavs have built a 10-point lead, Mitchell's fatigue ended up hurting them down the stretch. Just like on offense, the Pacers find other small ways to gain an edge that ends up creating these comebacks. Here, the Pacers are down 7 against the Cavs, and Siakam shooting free throws. Nesmith is just standing near the paint, but then Nembhard walks over and starts having a conversation. The camera does cut away, but as it pans back, Nesmith has now moved next to Mitchell, who's trying to look for a breather. So on the free throw, Nesmith's able to get a head start on the tired Mitchell and ends up slamming it home to cut the lead to 5. Which then leads to the next advantage, the inbound. In each of their comeback wins, they have forced at least 1 turnover down the stretch. So, after that Nesmith slam, the Cavs have to get the ball in. Hallie cuts that passing lane to Mitchell, and 2 Cavs run to the same area, meaning Mitchell now has to go get the ball. But because he's on the baseline, he doesn't have any room to work with and gets called for the offensive foul. Now, if there's one thing we've learned this postseason, it's to never throw the ball near Andrew Nembhard on these inbounds. A lot of attention has been made to Halliburton for his offensive heroics, but if there's a clutch defensive player this postseason, that belongs to Nembhard. Because he's small, he knows that he can get away with grabbing his matchup, but he uses it in a way to make these passes more challenging. The first thing he does is force the inbounder to make the long, risky pass. With Brunson inbounding, he top blocks Hart and grabs him, so Brunson has to throw it over. Hart slips, but is able to get the ball back. That's okay though, because the Pacers wanted to make sure the ball was out of Brunson's hands, so someone else had to take pressure free throws. That paid off, as Cat only made 1 of 2 free throws, which kept the Pacers in striking distance. Part of the reason the Pacers have dominated inbound plays is Nembhard's ability to adjust on the fly. After Nesmith makes his free throws to cut the lead to 1, Nembhard gets on Brunson's top side, then tells Nesmith to switch onto him so Brunson has no space to work with. Since Brunson's stuck in the corner, Nembhard traps him, which forces a desperate pass. They don't come up with the steal, but they do force OG to take 2 high-pressure free throws, and that ended up paying off again. On this inbound, the Pacers are down 4 with the Bucks ball. AJ Green's able to get this to Trent, and Hallie immediately doubles. Now, Nembhard's in the backcourt and sees that, so he sprints across the court to take Green and intercepts that pass. Then on the other end, Haliburton has Green as the mismatch, and he drives past him for the layup with a foul. He ends up converting that free throw, and the Bucks have to get the ball in again. On the inbound, they want to get the ball to Porter, and Nembhard swims himself to get to Porter's top side. So Giannis has to throw it to the middle of the court, and he's lucky that Doc got a timeout in time. Because of these instincts, the Pacers have trusted Nembhard to guard the primary ball handler in big moments. With the Pacers up 1, the Knicks run a pet action for Brunson. Now, Nembhard knows that Hart's going to set a screen, so he shoots the gap to beat Brunson to the ball and tips the ball off his hands. Then on this one, Porter runs a double drag and gets ahead of Nembhard, but notice how he crashes to Porter's left hand because he's left-handed and takes the ball away. That then leads to a fast break, and Nesmith finishes off Haliburton's miss. And finally, Andrew Nembhard also gives the Pacers another reliable ball handler that a lot of teams don't have. Out of the secondary ball handlers left this postseason, he has been the most reliable, and he works with Hallie to give the Pacers consistent good looks down the stretch. This is best explained in the last 3 offensive possessions of Game 1 against the Knicks. Haliburton brings Towns up on the screen, and he gives a little hezzy before going the other way, and he gets deep in the paint. Next possession, Nembhard gets Brunson on the switch, with Hallie screening. Nembhard crosses over, sees that Bridges isn't helping, and then explodes to the rim. That brings in help, which creates great ball movement. Robinson comes up, which creates a lane for Toppin to slam it down. Then after a Brunson score, Hallie goes right and then spins to make sure he creates that switch with Brunson. With Josh Hart helping up, Nembhard cuts into the paint and finishes it to give the Pacers the lead. Then, after a Knicks turnover, it's the Pacers who need to get the ball in bounds. The Knicks put Deuce McBride at the corner because they knew Hallie was going to use the screen to go that way. But because he saw that, he tells Nembhard to get it to Toppin instead. The Knicks can't foul in time, and Toppin gets a dunk. Because of the way the Pacers play and their ability to find advantages in these spots, they stress their opponent as much as possible, and that puts them in the position for some voodoo magic to happen. If there's something we have learned in the playoffs, it's that teams need to execute on so many different levels to win one basketball game. And if there's one takeaway from this video, it's that the Pacers' relentless energy and IQ helps them identify these small advantages that have helped them dominate these close games. So, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If so, please like and subscribe. Appreciate your guys' support, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.